I'm not going to say a single word about the Tennessee Titans record against the Indianapolis Colts because I was a punter, and there's no reason for me to talk about that. With that being said, we did not punt much against the Tennessee Titans, so you probably have no clue who I am to begin.
Look, I'm unstoppable. Forget your defense, nothing but an obstacle. Run it back, switch it up, call it audible. Serving up them Hail Marys till the game over with the showstopper. So hot, you gotta blow on it. I said I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll pass to my left while I'm looking to my right. Hit him right in the chest. It be looking like magic. Better give me the throne. I ain't talking about Patrick, but I rep my home. I'm never at the end of my zone. I'm bad to the bone. Eating up these pig skins like they chicharrones. And you a douche cabron. Mira, mira at the mirror on the wall. I'm the greatest of them all. They gon' put me in the hall. Your name is only written in a bathroom stall. Quit your stalling and make a play. My drive too long. Pop the clutch, I don't pump the brakes. I know what it takes to gain the muscle, get rugged. These butterfingers be fumbling. Squash a scrimmage and rub it in Robitussin. How I give them concussion. They see in double, they rushing and pass the shovel. The dirt and rubble, I bury them under it. Stay in your huddle and get 10 yards back. Never turn your back. I'ma pull your flag. I go full contact. Out punch, out kick like a shotgun.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Now, normally we see you guys on Tuesdays, but today's a little bit different because we have a special guest. And you know, we're going to have some interesting conversations since it's been an interesting last 4 days. So yeah, just make sure that you are liking, commenting, sharing from wherever you're from, whether you're watching Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, all that. We already have comments coming in. Sarah Small says, "Hey all, I'm ready for more moves." Thank you, Sarah. We appreciate you as always. Then we have Logan saying, "Yo, hey, listen, I've been seeing Logan's tweets all day, and the one thing that I've said all day was AO because what in the world?" But you know what? We love it because it's enthusiasm, it's excitement, and that's what we need during this time where everybody is clinching. So yeah. So in the meantime, welcome back to the HorseShoe Mob Podcast. We'll come to you everything Colts, and we're sprinkling in some Titans lander here and there because you know they love mayo. But hey, with that being said, just going to first off make sure that you are visiting www.fanbattlesports.com for all your AFC South related needs. But you're only going there for the Colts because it's a Colts related show. So make sure that you go there. We got articles, we got past episodes, other content. And hey, even if you want to write, let us know. We might be able to just go ahead and get you in there a little bit. Who knows? But without further ado, we're going to get to the guys, and then we absolutely have to make sure that we get to friend of the podcast, very well known amongst the Colts fan base. I'm going to say Mr. Drake Wally. He's going to have his own segment because you guys, if you don't know who he is, you're going to. But we have with us tonight Harish Nukala.
Sneed Watch. What's up?
Please stop.
Shout out to Ladarius Sneed. I know he's watching this.
Ladarius. All right. And then we have with us all the way from well, we can't say because there might be mail hurled at his house, but we have Austin Cook, everybody.
What's up? I'm Austin in Tennessee.
Right. Yes. Then we have the infamous Josue Senior.
What's good, everybody? Tennessee lost just today by 30 points.
Why are you the way that you are?
Wait, who lost by 30?
The Vols.
Oh, dang, that's brutal.
Hey, you know, that's tough. Sorry,
they lost by 30?
Hey, no, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. This isn't college time, okay? We have very limited time here with Drake, okay? Please respect the time for our guest. I'm Chris Jackson, by the way, and but you already know that. And without further ado, not even infamous, just the very well known, once again, friend of the pod. Dare we say, part of the podcast family now, because you know it's just like he's very well connected. You can find him on at Colts FN, on FN. Basically, you can find him on Fan Nation, I believe, and then also Fans First SN. But yeah, we have with us Mr. Drake Wally. Thank you for coming through. We do appreciate you this evening, sir. Thank you so much. And before we get started, let the people know some stuff about you, how you got started covering the Colts, what it's like covering them amidst the Ballard brouhaha. But yeah.
Yeah, appreciate you guys having me on. Basically, in short, got connected with Andrew through a mutual friend, and he's my co-host on the show, the HorseShoe Huddle. And they needed another host, so I joined, started getting involved with writing on Fan Nation on SportsIllustrated.com, and here we are. I basically have been doing it for a little over a year, but I got my start in radio, so did some sports broadcasting and all that kind of fun stuff. But man, it's been great to cover the team without needing to talk about quarterback, without needing to talk about head coach, and without needing to talk about Jonathan Taylor level drama, because that was insane. Covering that was probably the most insane thing I've ever covered. So, but no, it's been great, man. And I'm really excited to talk about the team and talk about what's been happening with y'all, and appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah, man, we appreciate you for coming on. We know you once again, I know we talked about it before, but I mean, you got the newborn baby. Congrats again. I know that is very time consuming. That's why we're going to make sure that we cover as much as we can before you get back to the little princess and everything. So
yeah, thank you.
Before we go any further, just going to cover some comments. We have Nathan Kesey from Twitter. What's up, everybody? Let's go Colts. Thank you, Nathan. Appreciate you. Sarah said, I hope we sign Quandre Diggs. We're going to be talking about that. Then we have DeJowers from Twitter. I hope we get Snead and get info soon. You and I both. And Michael Newsom, who's actually also a contributor on the AFC South Fan Battle Network or Fan Battle Sports Network, says, I wish someone would throw mayo at my house. For the record, he's actually eaten a tablespoon of mayonnaise and liked it live. So probably didn't need to know that, but you know what? Now you do. We suffered through it, so now you all have to.
He also puts mayo in his whiskey.
Yeah, he calls it Tennessee tea.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, Michael's a cool guy.
Yeah, he's a maniac. He's a maniac. All right. But you know,
it takes a brave man.
Without further ado, let's get into it. Because last week we discussed some of the signings. We were talking about, Michael Pittman Jr. getting tagged, or it's just like where the potential of him getting tagged. And first piece of news that we got, Michael Pittman Jr. gets re-signed. So now and I know everybody was looking at it like it was like a no-brainer and everything, but why the need for the tag before going and doing the contract, for you, Drake, and then we'll just go ahead to everybody else.
So in short, I mean, they were running up on a deadline. If you don't tag him, he becomes a free agent immediately. Okay. And you saw it happen with Saquon Barkley. The Giants are just like, we're not going to tag you, so go off to free agency, which just showed you the running back market. Be lucky that the Colts have Taylor. That guy is a high-level running back. Oh, you're seeing guys just dealt off like nothing now. So
yeah,
but yeah, I honestly I think that it just, again, the deadline, they just wanted to solidify everything, but then it gives them an opportunity to work out something long-term. Of course, this first year, I think he's going to be on the franchise tag, if I'm not mistaken, so he gets all that money guaranteed, and then his 3-year contract, I believe, starts next season.
Oh, so technically it's kind of like a 4-year deal, but the franchise tag isn't included in there.
Let me make sure of that, but I think that's how it works.
Yeah.
I thought the franchise tag came off if they came to a deal.
Well, it's honestly, it can be used as a placeholder
maybe
for an extension.
Yeah.
Because essentially it's
until I think it was like July is when they have to come up with okay, hold on. No, I was wrong. So it starts now.
Okay, so the deal starts now. Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
All right. And so with that being said, and like I said, I'll open the floor up to everybody. Was there ever, mind you, with all the crypticness that we saw, was there ever any doubt that there would be a deal that was done, knowing exactly what we knew or knowing that we didn't get a deal done prior to that?
And we talked about this last week. Not really. I mean, I think once they tagged him, there were already rumblings that they were done with the deal. Like they were already close.
Yeah.
Right. So there was really no worrisome, I guess there is. But I mean, I think I talked about it last week. 99.9% chance he was going to stay. But It's always a risk with the tag, right? You just don't know. Just kind of with any situation in the league, yes, no, I don't think anybody was going to pay 2 first-round picks and also pay Michael Pittman Jr. But again, there's a lot of stupid franchises in this league that do a lot of stupid things. And so, would it have been out of the realm of craziness that somebody actually did it? Not really, but. Yeah. But then also kind of like we're seeing with the Jarius Sneed situation, then trade offers could have started coming in, right? And if an actual trade offer comes in and somebody else was able to get a deal with him and an extension that he liked, then that trade offer could have been done, and we're kind of sitting in the same situation. So it's always a risk. I don't think there was any worrisome because there was already rumblings that he was going to be close to a deal before the tag even went up.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't worried because, Ballard said on multiple occasions that Michael Pittman would be a Colt regardless. So, whether he was tagged or long term, so I wasn't worried. I know they try to get it done before the deadline, the tag deadline. They just would.
Uh-oh. You cut out a little bit.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
I know he used that to get buy some more time, and they did that, a week later. So, I'm excited for that.
No, absolutely. What would you, Austin?
I agree. They just used the tag as a placeholder until they got it done. And I was never worried either. I figured he would be here long term.
Yeah. And honestly, I didn't have any doubts, all because of the fact that I highly doubt that he was going to move his farm. So, we can just go ahead and just put that out there because, when you have a farm somewhere, you're not looking to go anywhere. You're looking to be there for a very long time. And it's not like he just owns the farm and other people work it. Like he's out there in his Polaris, just driving around, just making sure the horses are good, making sure all the animals. When I saw that, I was just like, oh yeah, there's no way he's leaving. There's absolutely no way. Like it might be
at least he don't have to move 11 kids like Rivers did.
Well, I think they had a sprinter, so do with that information what you will.
So many children, dude.
A lot of children.
So many children, dude. Holy cow!
Man can pull out of a driveway.
Did they have another one after he retired?
Yeah, another one.
I think he's got 10 now. Yeah, because I remember when Rivers was a Colts quarterback, they had a ridiculous graphic of him and Joe Burrow. It had years in the league, trips to the playoffs, number of children. And it's 0 for Burrow and 9 for Rivers. I'm like, what in the hell does this have to do with anything? What is going
boredom.
on?
We call those kind of graphics boredom. Somebody was bored.
Yeah, somebody was extremely bored. But MPJ was of course the first of many signings, and then we saw Kenny Moore, Grover Stewart, we saw Rigoberto Sanchez. I believe Taekwon Lewis was another one who was re-signed. Zaire got an extension a year out from what it was, so that means that he's now that's an extension. So he's going to be playing on the final year of this deal, and then the new deal is going to happen. I'm going to say after the following year. Then correct?
Yes,
that is correct. His first cap hit is not until next season.
Okay, gotcha. So then, and I know, we, as a fan base, we watched that list, and we're just like, we don't know who's coming back and who's not. And it was a lot of just okay, we know how much money we have. We know who Chris Ballard is as a GM. We know that he is way less likely to sign people in free agency and much more likely to sign people. Now, the only person I think that was the outlier from that whole entire list was Julian Blackmon. And right now, and like I said, we'll go with Drake and then everybody can kind of chime in. Is there a chance that we can possibly see Julian Blackmon back, or does it seem like that's just kind of done for?
I think I would love it because while he did get hurt, he only got hurt in the last 2 games, which who's to say they don't win the game against Houston with a guy like Julian Blackmon on the field, and does Nico Collins absolutely crisp Juju Brents for a 75-yard touchdown. They should do it. I don't know if they will, but if I had to guess, I would say yes, because he's not going to cost high dollar. I mean, the guy's falling into like the third wave of free agency at this point. And obviously you can go all the way into April with free agency. But safeties are flying off the board, and Blackman's still a free agent. The Colts aren't like keeping him on a leash or anything. So I think that he's running out of suitors is what I think. So I also think that just coming off of a career season, he played his absolute best ball last season. I mean, he led the team in picks. He was fantastic. And that was a year when Kenny Moore was tearing people apart. I mean, he scored 2 touchdowns in a game by himself. So I really think Julian Blackman needs to stay a Colt, and then you can address free safety in either free agency or you can pick one of these studs that are going to be in the draft.
No, absolutely. If there was ever a draft to go for those really athletic positions,
make him compete with Cross, man. Make sure Cross is the guy.
Yeah, I mean they've played Cross sparingly last year. And I mean, this year, I don't see why they wouldn't have him out there more. Rodney Thomas, however, kind of souring right now. I'm not the biggest fan, but like I said, he's on the team. Hopefully he makes those strides. But so the big question then becomes, we know that he's kind of signed, like Chris Ballard has signed everybody, right? He signed everybody that was out there that needed to be re-signed. But of everybody that was signed, there's still a lot of key positions that kind of are needed right now. And I mean, like I said, we signed our own. We signed those notable names, Big Grove, you re-signed Kenny. But even with that being said, there's still glaring needs in a lot of different spots. So, I mean, is it good? Or I'm going to say, not is it good, but I'm just saying, is it the best idea to not at least try to double down in a couple of those spots then? Because we know that, I mean, we got Raekwon Davis, and I think that was probably the most out of the way signing other than Joe Flacco. Listen, I'm still digesting that one. I'm sorry. I'm still trying to figure that one out because, seeing this just Joe Flacco, you're just sitting there, just be like, Joe, who? Like, no, they spelled Jeremy Chin wrong. That's not Jeremy Chin. That's Joe Flacco. But no, it was Joe Flacco, definitely. So at this point, like, is there a need to have been a little bit more active in free agency, knowing who was out there and where some of these guys went? And this is open to the floor.
Gosh, yeah. I mean, real quick, I think that they still need to address offensive line depth.
Okay.
Put somebody behind. I don't know if they'll go with Danny Pinter at guard because he did have a season-ending injury.
Yeah.
So I still think you need to make sure Fries is the guy. Don't get me wrong. He elevated, but he was still below the other 4 linemen, So
yeah.
I think that he really let's just say this. He complements that starting lineup around him well, but on his own, maybe he turns into Mark Lewinsky with the New York Giants. They couldn't get rid of him fast enough. On his own, he was not that great. So
yeah.
I just think you need to put somebody behind Fries, whether that's a veteran free agent or, a late day draft pick. Put somebody behind him, just compete with him, make sure that he's the guy.
Yeah. Especially with the way that we're going to say the way that we see how the line goes with how like Shane Steichen, like he's not one to shy away from accountability and competition. And I mean, it's just like he had, I mean, Deion Jackson had a chance to play one game last season before he was essentially just like put into a jar and then just sent away. And yeah, like that's who we've needed because accountability was severely lacking. But, now it's just a little bit more of a hot seat because we know, if you mess up or you're not doing your job, then they're going to let somebody else in who's going to do it for you. And you may not be here long enough to even do that if you're not already signed to a contract. All right. Then Mad Mike Sports, he says, showing some love to you guys. Appreciate you for coming on. Appreciate you. I'm glad Trey Sermon re-signed. All right. Controversial. I wasn't a fan of the Trey Sermon re-signing.
I mean, I was kind of a fan of it. I mean, I know we was looking at AJ Dillon. We thought maybe we'd keep Moss. but you see the contract he received. It seemed like it was. I mean, he was the best fit. He played really well in a short period of time, especially for that Phillies game.
Here's the other thing, and I'm going to be the anti in this, and I'm okay with that because I don't really care. But I would have rather had Trey Sermon than having to, fake be happy about having Evan Hull behind Jonathan Taylor. I'm not big on Evan Hull. I know a lot of the Colts fan base is. There's nothing that I've seen from Evan Hull. Now I understand he got injured, so we'll see what happens. But Trey Sermon, he's played well down the stretch. Trey Sermon probably had a lot more hype coming into the league just because of how he played at Ohio State, and he just hasn't played well. But the role that he played on this team last year as a backup, I think it shows that he more than well deserves that backup position. And if we don't get anybody in the drafts, I'd rather rely on Trey Sermon than Evan Hull, just to be honest. Especially since we didn't get AJ Dillon or somebody.
But are you not willing to rely on Evan Hull because of the injuries, or just because of the?
I just don't think he. Yeah, I just haven't seen enough from him for again. I like to call it fake Ballard excitement, because we get these guys in the 4th, 5th, 6th round, and man, these guys are gonna be so awesome. What a great pickup! I'm so excited to see this guy. And Evan Hull is that guy, right? He is that guy on this team. And I just haven't seen enough to be Evan Hull is going to be a great backup from us. But I have seen from Trey Sermon this stint, right? His first stint, he didn't play very well, but this stint, he played well. And I thought that, that stint that he played was very helpful for this team and made an impact.
Yep. Okay. All right. And that's fair. So, and then moving on, only because, like I said, we have limited time with Drake. So Drake, you're, you know what? I'm just going to call you an insider. And I'll call you an insider because you know more inside information than we do. So that makes you an insider. Is Snead on the way?
So
I don't like that. I don't like the way you started that.
No, it's I think the chances, just because the whole cornerback market right now has frozen as solid. It's just sitting waiting for something to happen with Snead. Okay, I think that he's going to get traded regardless. I think that the Colts are probably the most, let's just put it this way, they're going to be the most likely to get him. Does that mean they're going to get him? No. Okay, but I think that they're the most likely suitor for him. They've got the most draft capital that they can, well, not the most, but they've got draft capital that I think Chris Ballard, which that tells you a lot. If he's comfortable with trading away picks, then he's serious about getting somebody. Okay, so you're also serious about paying him a pretty hefty amount of money. I actually let me look up real fast.
I think the signing, the only cornerback signing that was actually substantial was Jalen Johnson, and I think he came in at about 19.5 per year. So I imagine that you're talking about maybe 19.75 or even 20 if you're talking about numbers. But supposedly guaranteed money is the issue here.
Yeah, and it's the long game. You have to figure out what money is guaranteed, because it's taking over how contracts are even, done in the NFL. Guaranteed money is everything. And you know what kickstarted that? Deshaun Watson's fully guaranteed $250 million contract with the Cleveland Browns. That absolutely crazy move that they made, which they're trying to get out of right now. So that kind of kickstarted. Then Lamar Jackson was like, I want this much guaranteed money since Deshaun got it. So then you start seeing, it's a copycat league, and that happens on the business level too. So I think that it's worth it though. And I say this because I see a lot in Juju Brents. Okay. Jalen Jones is a dog. He's going to have to prove that he's not a 7th round pick though, because that's where the Colts drafted him. And at the end of the season, he started to really show some signs of falling apart against guys like Adams, Devontae Adams and stuff. Yeah. But they've got pieces there. And now you've got Kenny Moore there. You're probably going to draft a corner, maybe 2. So I think that L'Jarius Sneed, if you land him, I mean, that's pretty freaking great for that secondary.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
I'd say it's a good chance, but holy crap, you just never know what's going to happen. You really don't. So one thing that I do want to ask, and like I said, this is open to everybody. So whoever goes first, you're first. But Ballard's hits and misses
for this free agency period. And we could mean it's just like the hits, it could be whoever he signed. It was just like, okay, that absolutely needed to happen to. That's how much that guy went for, and he didn't want to pay him that. So I'll start with you, Austin. What were hits and misses for Ballard in this free agency week?
Well, we've obviously safety is a need of ours, and we've seen some pretty good safeties come off the board for not a lot of money. So I'd say those safeties are misses. I think getting Zaire to extend early was a hit.
Yeah.
Re-signing Kenny Moore is a hit. I think personally Joe Flacco was a hit. I think AR has a chance to learn a lot behind him, and he's been in the league for a long time and won a Super Bowl. I like him as a backup.
In the words of a great philosopher, buddy. Like what do you mean? How was that a hit? Okay. So the thing for me is that I think it's a hit from a mentorship standpoint, because if there's anybody who can absolutely mentor you on certain things, it's probably Joe Flacco, especially with like being a passer, how to make sure that you're making some of those safe throws, being able to do it. But it's also a miss because Joe Flacco and Phillip Rivers could probably run like race a 40 together, and we'd be there from sun up to sundown waiting for them to finish.
Like you got to think, Andrew Luck had Matt Hasselbeck. I feel
Very
like that's
true.
kind of a similar thing.
And they almost didn't even miss a beat with Hasselbeck. I mean, he did pretty well.
It actually ended up working out really well.
When you say it like that,
one of the very few moves Ryan Grigson did that actually worked out.
Yeah, when you say it like that, I yield. Fair enough. Thank you, Austin, for that. You've provided me clarity that I didn't have before. All right, Josh, what about you?
Yeah, I think all the moves were hits except Tyquan Lewis. I don't know why he's still there. I mean, we always say, well, he was close, and then he get hurt. It's like, okay, he keep getting hurt at the wrong time when he's up. It's just like, okay, it's just like the Paris Campbell thing. Like, he showed flashes, but then he hurt. So it's like, okay, same thing. I mean, he gave up on him last year. So it's like, why are you keeping Tyquan Lewis and he's not doing anything? You don't know if he's going to be a D tackle or an end. So, I mean, you just got, Davis as a D tackle, and then you're probably going to draft an end, maybe at 15 or a second round, or him as be a fourth round. But I mean, I don't know why he's here. So I think that's a miss. And I thought they were in on the Danielle Hunter, but he took less to go home. So I do understand that part. But Lewis, I don't understand why he's here. Yeah. I really don't.
Well, he didn't take less to go home. That 2 years, $49 million, whatever it is, it's $8 million this year, and I think the rest of the guaranteed money is all falling into that contract the following year.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Also, no Tyquan Lewis slander will be okay.
Nah.
If you can send a ballot every show, I can say something about Tyquan Lewis.
We're not doing that. We're not doing that. What
I will not take Tyquan Lewis slander.
Hey, so Drake, for the sake of journalistic integrity, only because I'm pretty sure you would interview Chris Ballard possibly at some point. Hits and misses from free agency this period.
Oh man, I actually have to copycat the misses. I love what Austin said. That was so good. Like, safety. I just was expecting at this point, absolutely, there to be a safety. Now, what that tells me is that they want to pick somebody in the draft, potentially. Yeah. You've got some really, maybe not before round 2, but that's not typically when you pick safeties is round 1. You don't typically do that. So there's plenty of guys I think they can address that with in the draft. But I've never seen so many available safeties at such a high level and no signings yet. It might be Quandre Diggs, though. I really think that maybe as far as safeties, you're looking at Quandre Diggs. So I think that they've missed safety, and I think that they hit. I'm going to be cliche. They took Michael Pittman Jr., man. They made sure that they locked down an absolute dog at wide receiver. He's just increased his numbers every single year, virtually every number. Targets and catches all have gone up with 7 different quarterbacks throwing him the ball, 4 different day one starters, 3 different head coaches. I mean, the dude just needs consistency, which now you have, and you need a quarterback like Anthony Richardson. Man, the sky's the limit for Pittman, man.
Yeah. No, absolutely. What about you, Harish?
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. I think Michael Pittman Jr. is a hit for sure. Locking that down, it would have been it again. I don't think it wouldn't have happened, but if they didn't get a deal locked down and they end up losing him either this year or next year, it would have been absolutely devastating for this team, especially a team that's already thin at wide receiver, trying to look for another one to pair with him. So you have and Downs, which I think they'll address in the draft, and there's plenty of options to do so. That would have been a heck of a miss. We'll see what happens with Snead. At this point, just based on what we're hearing and where they're at in the negotiations, if this Snead deal doesn't end up hitting or getting done, it's a huge miss. This is probably a devastating miss. So
pitchforks and tiki torches.
Yes,
I'm telling you.
So we'll keep it neutral for now there. But if this doesn't end up getting done, and he goes to especially if he goes to a Houston or Tennessee or somewhere in the AFC, it's an absolute fireable offense type of miss to me.
Yeah.
And that's just me going ultra there. But hits, I thought there were a lot of hits. I personally like the Tyquan Lewis re-sign. I understand he has an injury history. But the one thing that this team doesn't have on its defensive line is a disruptor, a guy that can pressure the quarterback, a guy that can get pressure on the other team's, put pressure on the other team's offensive line. He's the best that can do it when he's healthy, and I understand he has had some injury issues, but we've seen flashes above anybody else on the rest of the defensive line that I've known, besides obviously DeForest. But that can get that consistent pressure. And again, if you lose even that on a defensive line that's pretty thin already, that would have been that would have been a miss. So I think that's a hit for me. There's just not much going on right now for me to be like, yeah, this is an absolute hit or a miss. Re-signing your guys is always great. That way, again, you're not having to start over. Now it's about these next steps, getting this neat thing done, getting Quandre Diggs, who I think would be perfect for this defense, and a guy that can come in and help. Be that veteran guy along with Snead, I think will probably help set us up really well for a fun draft.
Okay.
I do want to add to that too. Do you guys think that having Daniel Scott return is the reason why they're not bringing on a safety and having Ryan Harrison as well?
Yeah, Daniel Scott was who we drafted last year, but I think he was more so brought on possibly to be a fringe safety. I think he's more so for special teams.
Special teams, yeah.
Yeah, he's
played over 600 special team snaps, but he's also super athletic. So Chris Ballard loves that, especially at the safety position.
That Raz score.
His Raz was probably
Raz or die. Raz or die.
His Raz was probably 50.6 last year. It was insane.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
Yeah, disgusting. He literally lives and dies by that. Not kidding.
Absolutely. And it's crazy.
All about the Raz score.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna say of course signing the guys was a hit. I think signing Kenny Moore is probably gonna do a lot more good than bad. I think the misses is really just it's the same exact thing. It's the safeties. We saw Cameron Curl. I think he was somebody who I think was kind of like a dark horse. If Quandre Diggs was already signed, I'd be like, that might be somebody that we should have gotten, and there might be a little bit more rage. But I mean, one guy that I think kind of flew under the radar and nobody's talking about, Jeremy Chin went to Washington for 1 year for $5.1 million. I mean, it the fact that you're able to get a guy like that on that type of deal, going to Washington, and you don't know what that team is going to look like. That there was obviously an opportunity, and I think that was something that was a big. Now, mind you, I think Justin Simmons is still out there, I believe.
Yep.
And Quandre Diggs
Eddie Jackson
out there. Eddie Jackson's out there, so there's no lack of veteran safeties at all. But I think it's just guys aren't getting paid exorbitant amounts. They're literally getting paid more so minimums than anything else. So. Yeah, no.
Yeah, it goes to show. It goes to show though, maybe there's a plan that Ballard has, and Quandre is this guy. He just needs to get this neat thing done. Like, that is also a possibility. Maybe they had to take a look at these guys, and they're like, hey, I know I want Curl. I know, but those guys are not willing to wait for me to get this other thing done.
Yeah.
Quandre is somebody else I want. He's willing to wait. So maybe we might get a 2-for-1, right? Where it's like, boom, I get this neat thing done, and I hit up Quandre, we get that thing done, and we're set. That's still a possibility, right?
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
again, there's so many athletic down the red line safeties that you can get in the draft as well. My God, there are some athletic freaks in the draft at safety.
Listen, one of the buzzwords that is creeping closer and closer to depth is athletic, because I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. Like, I'm sick of hearing
playmaking safeties.
Playmaking safety, I'm okay with that, because it's just like, okay, you know what? That's a guy. He's going to do something. But the thing is, when we say, yes, the guy's athletic, he's great, he has good range, he has good reach, and he's a great depth signing.
Well,
none
Chris
of
Ballard
what you just said indicates a depth signing.
Yeah. We're all Chris Ballards now, because that's how he has taught us to speak. He has taught us to speak this way.
I will not conform to the machine.
Well, you're a little too late, about 8 years behind. So if your lack of conforming is 8 years into it, you're a little too late for that, buddy.
Then whatever.
You love RAS scores too.
I hate RAS scores. I hate them. I absolutely hate them. Because the thing is, at the end of the day, RAS scores are good because of the combine, because of all that stuff. But let me tell you, as somebody who ran track, a lot of that stuff that you do, you go into it like to get the starts, to go with the 40 times. A lot of those 40 times are conflated, because I don't like, to me personally, you could run a 4.240. But the problem is that you're running a 4.240, and let's just say your quarterback ends up being Bailey Zapp. How much of that 4.240 are you going to be able to use if he can't get the ball all the way to the tail end of the field that you're located on? Like, that's the problem with a lot of these wide receivers and a lot of the combine stuff, because you're focusing on speed, but the thing is, you're not focusing on the more technical aspects. Like, to me, and we talked about this last week, I think Xavier Worthy had the fastest 40 time, but Roma Dunze probably had the best combine out of all the receivers, because even him running the wide receiver gauntlet showed control, showed good hands, showed him being able to get in and out of cuts. That's what's going to be important. When you're a 4.2 speed, and mind you, you're not a unicorn like Tyreek Hill, whatever it may be. But the thing is, when you're a guy who can run that fast, and you're going up against somebody like a Pat Surtain, for an example, he's going to press you into the shadow realm. Like, you're going to have to work your way out of that to make sure that you're moving in certain things. So I think when you're just focused on speed, you're focused on less of the technical aspects of what really needs to go into it. Now, he absolutely could light the league on fire, but history shows more often than not, it's not going to end up being that.
Yeah. I agree with that, and there's a reason why I really love Roma Dunze. If we can end up getting him, I think him and Pittman would just add to how deadly this offense could be. Mm-hmm. Roma Dunze, Pittman, JT, Jelani Woods. I mean, I think your offense is set, and they're all young, right?
Yeah.
Your offense is set for the next 4 or 5 years. Yeah, I mean, it would be great. And speed is definitely, but also at the same time, if you look at the confines of this offense and how you run this offense, it's RPO style offense, and those being able to get it out quick and being able to make plays in space is something that a guy with 4.2 speed, Xavier Worthy, is very good at. It's what he was asked to do at Texas. The film and the tape matches what you see in the combine results.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, yes, 4.2 speed is insane, and I understand it. Not everybody that has a lot of crazy speed is a football player, if you will.
Yeah.
Xavier Worthy's a football player. I promise you he is. And he's also a special teams threat.
All right. I won't just take your word for it because you're a Texas fan.
But I've been watching it for 3 years.
He's definitely a homer.
Listen,
right, so
I haven't had a good draft room or draft prospect room in 15 years. So yes, I'm going to take every minute, every second I can to brag on this draft class. It's the best one I've seen since I was in high school.
All right, so here's what we're gonna do because, like I said, we're gonna roll out here. I know Drake has a little bit of time left, but I think we've covered pretty much everything we're gonna cover in terms of free agency. Give me two players. Everybody, give me two players. Rapid fire. Two players who you think right now could contribute. Could be offense, defense, defense, and defense, offense, and offense. Two players you could potentially pick up right now in free agency that will literally just bolster this team from jump. And like I said, we'll start with Austin, and then we're gonna go around. I don't know if everybody's screen looks the same way.
So me, two players. I'll say Diggs, and I don't know. I really like Xavier Howard. If we somehow miss that on Snead.
That's the thing we haven't heard. Okay, what you, Harish?
Snead and Diggs. It's you talk about fixing this secondary. Snead and Diggs fixes this secondary, and then bringing back Blackman to add on top of that if you can. Your secondary is now set. You've got three corners. Finally, you have three corners on this team that can actually play the position, and then you supplement like you're supposed to do with 5th and 6th round picks of guys that can grow into the position and be those good D-word pieces that you hate. But Snead and Diggs absolutely fixes the secondary for me.
Okay. What about you, Josh?
Give me Snead and Simmons.
Snead Simmons. Okay.
Oh yeah, perfect duo.
All right.
That would help
All
our
right.
secondary.
Drake, what about you?
Man, I think that they should pick a safety in the draft. I think that there's some serious talent there, but I love what Austin said. Again, Xavier Howard and still get L'Jarius Sneed. I think that you should grab a couple of corners here. Howard is I have to do this real quick. Last season is the first time this dude has slumped in his career. Okay. But before that, the dude was wreaking havoc on the entire league. He had 7 picks, led the league in 2018, 10 picks, led the league in 2020. Up until 2022, he was a perennial Pro Bowler for 3 straight years, former All-Pro. The dude is a monster. He led the league in pass defenses, too, at one point with 20. He's just 1 year removed from a rough season, fresh start. He knows he's not the guy, and he needs to get back to being the guy. No one better to compete with than L'Jarius freaking Sneed, and he gets to learn and grow and be a part of a defense with Kenny Moore, L'Jarius Sneed, Julian Blackman, if they do decide to re-sign him. I think the sky's the limit with that kind of addition. So he's not even going to be that expensive either. Miami didn't want him, and he's coming off of a slumpy year.
Yeah.
It's cheap. Yep.
Yeah.
He'll be cheap.
Yeah. I'm going to have to say Sneed, but Dalton Risner.
Okay.
I don't think he hasn't been signed yet.
Yeah.
And so I think, honestly, it's just like that's not just potentially – and I hate it because now I'm using it. That's not only somebody who's a depth player, but he's somebody who could potentially just come in and start, honestly. I mean, I know that Fry's had a pretty decent season, but I think you have Risner in there. It's just like I think he's more versatile. And especially that would be –
They're similar. They're very similar players, so they would compete.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
But, I mean,
I'd start Reisner over Fries, personally. I've seen Reisner play very good at that right guard position.
Yeah.
I've seen him play very well at that right guard position.
Trey White. That's interesting.
Yeah. Oh, he's still out there, too.
Isn't he coming off of a major injury? Was it?
It was an Achilles or an ACL.
So
he's had some struggles with injuries not just last season. Lately.
Achilles are so tricky, man. It's Achilles are the new ACL. Remember where ACLs were tricky? Now everybody's like, oh yeah, ACLs, 3 months, you're good, man. You start working out again. But now Achilles are like, you just don't know. They really do impact a guy in ways that some you just don't know.
Dallas Flowers, man.
Yeah.
Achilles injury. So we'll see.
We'll see.
Yep. And he's back rehabbing and dunking, so it's just like, who knows?
He played great in his 4 games. Look at the numbers, man. Look at the grades. Excellent. He was just fine. So we'll see if he doesn't just come right back in and start.
Yeah.
I want Daryl Baker back too.
All right. On that note, Drake has to go, but Drake, let the people know where they can find you on social media other than where I have the rolling ticker showing you multiple times. Let them know anything you have coming up. Thank you for coming on and go for it.
Hell yeah, man. No, thank you guys for having me on. And if you do not follow the HorseShoe Mob or subscribe to the HorseShoe Mob, do all of that for the HorseShoe Mob. The show is awesome. The guys on it work hard and they provide good stuff. So so go to on X, it's at Colts on FN, at Fan Nation, Fans First Sports Network. That's where myself and my co-host Andrew Moore do our written work for Sports Illustrated on Fan Nation. But honestly, it's like I was telling the fellas before, I don't even have any planned pieces because so much is happening between now and the middle of April. I mean, and then right after that, you got the freaking draft. So for a while, it's not going to be a lot of story related stuff, but more breaking news. So keep updates, keep all the notifications on. And I hope that Ballard is a little more aggressive than he's been.
We do too.
Listen, you'd be more likely to find a leprechaun riding a unicorn. Like, it's just not a thing. It's not a thing. But other than that, Drake, once again, thank you for coming on. We appreciate your support. Please make sure that you are following at D Walster Drake on Twitter. I don't call it X. I just can't do it. And make sure that you are following all the Fans First accounts. Make sure that you're following everybody. And with that being said, guys, where can the people find you on social media?
You can find. Go for it.
Go ahead. Okay, you can find me on Twitter at CookieAustin2.
See, you cracked yourself up. Josh, what about you?
I just want to say I am 25.
Oh no. No, we're not doing this. We're not doing this. Who is Josh Senior for him? Harish, what about you?
Before I see where you can find me, real quick, you mentioned leprechauns. Leprechauns earlier. It is St. Patrick's Day this weekend, so maybe the luck of the Irish is on our side.
That's right, it is. Holy crap!
But
that's the Uncle Gandhi for Harish.
No,
go ahead, Harish. Go ahead.
Yeah. Hey, happy St. Patrick's Day weekend. The Uncle Gandhi. Obviously, also you can find me and my buddy Tim Wayne, co-host of the Longhorn Fan Battle Podcast, Thursday nights, 8:30 p.m. And then you can find all of us at various times on the AFC South Fan Battle Podcast, Sunday nights, 8:30 p.m. Central, as we head into the launch of Season 7 of the AFC South Fan Battle Podcast.
Nice. And you can find me at CJ Colts Fan on Twitter. Just make sure you stay in tuned. Of course, you know that we are always live on Tuesdays, 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central. And with that being said, definitely stay tuned. Hopefully, L'Jarius Sneed, you'll be wearing that Colts blue next season. Chris Ballard, do not mess this up. I'm telling you, do not mess this up. And with that being said, as always, also make sure that you tune in this upcoming Tuesday because we will have Clyde Oliver from the Sick Podcast Anvil Show live with us. But make sure that you are staying tuned. And with that being said, always remember that Sam loves Jalen Ramsey.